Okay, so today for my argumentative speech, I'm going to argue in favor of the support of a tax that should be placed on sugar sweetened beverages such as soda. So, when it comes to the state of our nation's health, I don't think there's any argument that the United States is facing a pretty big obesity epidemic, especially in the last couple decades. What's less clear, however, is how to address this significant problem. And it's my firm belief that perhaps the best potential remedy for this situation is to put a tax on these sugar sweetened beverages. And the advantages of such a tax are quite numerous. So, first off, additional taxes would discourage the sale of beverages with no nutritional value, and thereby helping the decrease of the obesity epidemic that's going on in America today. And meanwhile, while we are taxing this and we're trying to decrease the amount of obesity in America, by taxing these beverages, we can have the state governments get much needed revenue from individuals that are still intent on purchasing these beverages. But detractors claim that a tax on sugar sweetened beverages is quite elitist. So another cost that they're saying that it's another cost that disproportionately burdens the poorest Americans. So others do not believe that this aided tax would make any difference to the soda drinking individuals or change the health habits of the average American. So I'm going to go back to my first point saying that Americans were as a whole we're having an increased problem with obesity. So if you go on the CDC website, they'll be able to show you a statistic where more than one third of the U.S. population, which turns out to be around 78.6 million adults, are obese, and the cost related to this obesity is around 147 billion dollars per year, which is astronomical. They also show, I was also reading a study where they were talking about people that consume at least one sugary drink per day have a 26% greater risk of developing type 2 diabetes and than people that are rarely drink those drinks. And that was from a study that was done that related sugar sweetened beverages and developing the risk for metabolic syndrome, which is type 2 diabetes. So moving on to, not only is this a problem in the adult community, this is also a problem with children too. So the children, future of our country, are especially vulnerable to the dangers of these sugar sweetened beverages. Another study found that for each individual 12-ounce soda children consumed each day, the odds of them becoming obese increased by 60% when they did a 1.5 year follow up. Okay, so what could be done to curb this problem? So I propose, or I think that we should put a tax on sugar sweetened beverages, and that would help decrease the sale of those beverages and improve the overall health of the community. So economists have estimated that a tax of a mere penny per ounce, so that would be an additional 12 cents per 12-ounce soda. Okay, so say it's soda's like $3, it would cost 3.12. This would greatly reduce the consumption by 10 to 15% over the next decade. And you may be wondering how this decrease would translate into saving lives. There was a study done by scientists at the University of California, San Francisco, that showed that by doing this, it would prevent 240,000 cases of new diabetes, 100,000 cases of heart disease, 8,000 strokes, and 26,000 deaths over the next decade. And one of the reasons detractors give for not supporting this tax is that it does not make a significant impact, but for the lives of many thousand Americans, the impact is quite significant indeed. So basically, they're saying is that if you look at the general population, they're saying that it's not a big impact just for like a couple thousand people, but in reality, it is. So, furthermore, many who do not favor this tax do not think it would stop people from buying or drinking soda. What people may not understand is that this tax is not intended to entirely eliminate the consumption of soda. Rather, such a tax would allow people to exercise choice while generating hundreds of millions of dollars in needed revenue, and that's revenue that can defray healthcare costs or it could be used for other things in the community. So, according to Yale's Rudd Center for Food Policy and Obesity, in 2014, New York City residents will consume nearly 169 million gallons of soft drinks alone, and that doesn't even include like the diet forms of the soda, so like Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke. Doesn't even include other sugar sweetened beverages like sports drinks, energy drinks, or even fruit drinks. And if taxed at this rate that we were talking about, it would generate over probably $216 million is what they were guessing. And similar results can be seen in other cities that studies were done where they said that cities such as LA would generate around $50 million from the revenue. Chicago would generate around 95 million, and Houston would generate around 66 million. And in addition to this direct revenue generation from the sale of soda, it is estimated that a tax will save around $17 billion over the next decade in healthcare related expenses, which is really huge, especially since healthcare costs are ridiculous nowadays. Opponents of the soda tax argue that it's just one more tax that will hit poor people's wallets the hardest. However, the long-term savings from improved health, so think of taking fewer medications, fewer doctor's visits, fewer procedures, is well worth that cost. Combined with the fact that water, especially water, is free to drink. You don't have to pay for water. There's gonna be no tax on water. So if you really are money tied for the money, you can drink water, and you can't argue with success. A similar comparison can be made with cigarettes, which has been a problem for many, many decades. It's an item that has been heavily taxed over the past half century, and a comprehensive study found that the price of a package of cigarettes is inversely related to both smoking participation and consumption. So basically, the soda tax is the wave of the future, in my opinion. It's in the most recent election, Berkeley, California, became the first city in the nation to adopt the soda tax. So they decided to do a penny per ounce of soda that you buy. So I have a couple diagrams here that I'd like to share with you guys. The first one is a diagram here that shows the the breakup of sugar in an average American's diet. So this took the population from people that are 2 years and older, and they showed where they get their sugar in their daily diet. And this big area right here is all from soft drinks and sugar sweetened drinks. And a couple of the other big categories are, you know, grain-based desserts, fruit drinks, dairy desserts, candy. But then again, look at that big area right there. It's all that soft drinks. Okay. And my next visual here, it's a little pie chart, and it basically just gives you a hypothetical situation in a California county where they figured if they taxed soda by the penny per ounce, this is the revenue that they would get per year just from doing that, which would be $39.3 million. And they were able to break up what they would do with that $39.3 million, which this big area right here, which is around 22.8 million, they were able to use towards schools, improving everything, getting more technology into the schools, okay? And this purple right here would be around 8.4 million, and that would be used for after-school programs, sports programs that the school puts on. And this $8 million right here, this 20%, that would be used for the healthy lunch program that Michelle Obama is pushing, and for local schools with physical education. So basically, all in all, my whole point is that soda taxes should be enacted in all states across the country in order to help prevent obesity and raise money for the community.